On today's episode of the Warne's Way podcast, I am joined by a man who has played 53 test matches for Australia, has one of the most iconic moustaches in Australian sporting history. He also shares something in common with Dad, which is a test hat-trick. He's also a very handy fisherman and a fellow Victorian. So welcome to the podcast, Merv Hughes.
Jackson, thank you very much. Thanks for having us on.
No, thank you so much for coming on. We were just talking about some of the gold about Dad before we even started, and one of that was his memory just to remember people.
Oh, mate, he was fascinating. So, as I was saying before, you'd walk down the street and a bloke walk up, "G'day, Shane." Go, "G'day, Rob. How are you?" Have a talk and talk for 5-10 minutes. Oh, who was that one? Oh, he's a bloke I met at a Sportsman's night 3 years ago out at Wanturna. How do you remember that? Oh, I don't know. I just do. So he had just I'm okay with faces, names. I'll get introduced to someone, and 2 minutes later, it's gone. Yeah. And for him to remember that 2-3 years on, you just think, how do you? And a great mate of mine, Snapper, Gavin Whiting, so I grew up with him at Werribee. He always said the thing about when he introduced me to him once, and every time he saw him, whether it was my place or whether it was, "G'day, Snapper, how are you?" Just spoke to him like they'd known each other for 20 years, and just an amazing recall for names.
Yeah, and he was always very engaging, very present with everybody he's spoken to, eye contact, and that's why, like even having some of the guests I've already had on, when they're telling me their story of Dad going to a dinner with them and their mates, remembers all of their names, gave them all the time of day. Like there's a lot of them, whenever Dad was out in the smokers area, always talking to the tradies at his house, whoever it was. Yeah. But I've met so many people.
Loved to chat, but just his name recall was amazing. And it's even now, a lot of people are, Warne was a bit of a wanker, and you just say, "Mate, you never met him, did you?" Yeah. Because if you sat down with him for 5 minutes, he made you feel like the most important person in the world. Yeah. And if it was in a crowded area, he wouldn't be distracted. He wouldn't be looking anywhere else. He'd be looking eye to eye and talking, and just genuinely interested with whoever he was talking to.
Yeah, and you'd known him ever since he was 21, 22, 23 years old.
19, I think.
First came into the squad, and it's something I was actually talking to Kai about today. We're watching some of his videos. The perception that the public had of him was actually very different to what he was like in private. Like everybody thought he was the biggest drinker of all time, and sure, he liked to have a good time, but he was not actually as much as what the media or people's public interpretation of him was.
No, he's very quiet. The thing about it, I think everyone thought he was a little bit outspoken and a little bit of ahead of himself. But as a senior player, an older player in the squad when he came in, he's just very respectful. I think still in this day and age, you can say he knew his place, and the respect that he had for the older players in the group and the senior players. And the work that he did, because I think a lot of people thought he was just naturally talented and didn't have to work hard. Yep. But the amount of work that he did is one of the hardest trainers. And yes, his diet wasn't great, and that's been well documented. But if he needed to lose weight, the sacrifices that he made and the commitment he had to his training, his diet, and getting himself in the best shape he possibly could, you sit back and just were totally amazed by it.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, he still was an elite athlete. Like he was still representing Australia, even though people used to say he ate all the pies or was a little bit overweight or had the mullet and the pimples or whatever. He was still able to perform for his country, and if he needed to lose weight or get fit, he could.
Right. Well, the thing about you don't play state cricket and international cricket just on talent alone. So to get to state cricket and hold your place at state cricket, that takes an enormous amount of hard work, and he was prepared to do that. And then the next level, it just seemed the harder things were, the more the challenge was, the greater he accepted it.
And I've spoken about exactly that on this podcast a few times, where if there was a moment where there was actually more layers of responsibility, so he was either the captain or he really needed to get a wicket in that time, or there was more pressure, he actually thrived. Yeah. Like he actually loved the extra layers of responsibility. He wanted the ball, like he wanted to win the match for the team. He liked all of those scenarios.
Oh, the bigger the challenge, the better he was. There's guys that wilt under pressure, and not so much at that top level, but you see it in state level and club level. And it's almost as though the big one, when Australia were in trouble and West Indies or England or whoever it was looking like getting the runs, you knew who the captain was going to throw the ball to. Yeah. It didn't matter who was captain, whether it was Border, Taylor, Clark, whether it was Ponting. They were always going to throw the ball to two people. It was Warne and McGrath.
Yeah.
The two best and the two guys that loved to challenge more than anyone. And Shane, like as good as Glenn McGrath was in really those clutch situations, like if you had to pick one of the two, you're always picking Shane in front of it because he just loved it. Like the harder the battle, the bigger the challenge, the better he was.
And it's so nice to hear that, and he would have loved to hear that too. But I just want to read you out a quote because it's very similar to what you just said. And you might have heard this before, but this is a quote from Dad talking about you. If the game was drifting away from you and you needed one player to throw the ball to take a wicket, out of everyone I ever played with, I'd give the ball to Merv Hughes. He said that about you. Did you know that?
That's a massive. I've seen that a couple of times, and it's been pointed out to me. And like I say, if you're good mates with someone, they're always going to stick up for you. So I consider Shane like a very good mate. So when he first got in, when he came back from the Centre of Excellence and was in the Victorian side, I was part of that, and we saw him training, and to stand behind him and watch him bowl. Leg spinners always bowl a bad ball.
Yeah.
So you stand behind, he's got to bowl a bad ball soon. He's got to bowl a bad ball. And I reckon I said that for about 25 years.
Yeah.
never bowled a bad
ball.
But, and it was interesting. I talked to Dad about Shane a fair bit, and Dad passed a year and a half ago. But you talked to him about he picked his best international side, and I was in that. And Dad said, "What do you think about that?" And I said, "I'm pretty happy with that." And all Dad said, "Well, he's always going to pick his mates, isn't he?" Yeah. But to have someone of Shane's calibre speak to you about that, like that's a huge feather in my cap, without doubt.
Yeah, no, but I remember always talking to him about that, the early 90s and that golden era of sport, they call it. He always would talk about you because, in a way, the way he spoke about you was you always took him under his wing, especially on those first tour, on the first Ashes overseas. You were always next to him on the bus, and I know in early tours in Adelaide as well, you're always bunking with him.
Yeah.
And there was a really funny story when I was doing some of the research, was a story that you'd mentioned bunking together in Adelaide.
Yeah.
And you talk about Dad knowing he knew his place and the hierarchy and the senior players and all this sort of stuff. But Dad, when you guys were sharing the room in Adelaide, there was a massive king-size bed, and there was a bed that came off the wall.
The folding,
Yeah, the folding out bed.
Yeah.
And I remember some of the stories because he said you actually gave him a very important life advice, like in that series when he was bunking with you. Do you remember what the life advice was?
I gave him a lot of advice, so, but he talks about sort of different things. Yeah. And it's, but mate, just to sit down and have a talk to him, like I said, he is always very respectful. So if you're a senior teammate, he always had that respect.
Yeah.
And then the junior guys would come in, and it wasn't though he stood over them or made them earn anything. He just gave them every chance, and just wanted everyone to be the best they could possibly be. Yeah. But go on with this advice.
It was, if you're ever ordering room service and you finish your room service and you've got the tray, go and put the tray out the front of like the coaches or the strength and conditioning coaches or the physios, never out the front of your own.
Another players.
Yeah, another players.
We used to put it, like we always used to find out where Craig McDermott was, because he was the fittest, strongest bloke, one of the fittest, strongest blokes. And so we used to put the tray outside, because Errol Alcott, who was our team physio, so he was a one-man band, so fitness guru, dietitian, all that. He would do laps of the hotel, get the room bearings, and go through and find out what room you are.
Yeah.
So if you put the room service tray out the front of your room, you copped it.
Oh, of course, because you're going to be,
So we used to put it, where's Craig McDermott's room? 3 rooms down, put it outside there. And when things come up about, and quite obvious, Shane and myself were under a bit of a weight cloud most of the time. when it came up about weight, you say, Craig McDermott's looking a bit tubby. You should have seen what he ate last night. I walked past his room, and the tray that he had out, you got to keep an eye on it. So it went down that track. But, mate, a lot of advice, not too much of it too serious, I wouldn't have thought. But and that was the nature of the beast back in those days. In some ways, I feel sorry for the the guys now because I don't get to room with anyone.
Yeah.
So when I was a young bloke, so my first tour to England, I was rooming with guys like Jeff Lawson, Terry Alderman, so the senior players. And then when I was a senior player in 93,
You were doing the same with
the same with Wayne Holsworth and Brendan Julian and Shane Warne. So it was an interesting contrast to sit there. Most of the conversations you have are just ridiculous and talking about sort of just be aware of what's going on. Yeah,
being mates.
Just being yourself and making sure that someone else cops the blame for your room service. But 10% of the conversation was heavy and about cricket and different situations in a game. And loved that 80. I loved that 93 tour for me being a senior player and having a talk to Wayne Holsworth and Brendan Julian and Warnie. I reckon the best advice I ever gave to Warnie was on that flight over.
Yeah.
In 93. Well, you see him, he's a little bit hesitant. I said, what's going on? I said, mate, I'm just nervous. First Ashes test. I mate, 4.5 months away. You were 16 of your best mates. We're sponsored by a brewing company and we're only playing England, so we're going to win. So just relax. And he just sort of sat there and thought, what is going on here? But in 89, we went across, we were very confident. And in 93, the only way I could describe our attitude on the plane is that we had our heads up our backsides because we couldn't see, the senior players couldn't see how England were going to get close.
Mm.
And it was a different mentality. So 89 we were a little bit unsure.
Yep.
And 93, like Mark Waugh, Steve Waugh, Alan Border, Mark Taylor, like we had a lot of young guys on that. So Hayden, Martin, Warnie, Wayne Holsworth and those guys. But the senior players, we'll sit there thinking, mate, there's no way they can beat us. Yeah. And that was the length of our time. A lot of people say that's a little bit arrogant. And there's a fine line between arrogance and confidence. And confidence. And we were very confident. No one was arrogant about it. We just sat down, we spoke about the English team and spoke about our team and what we'd been doing compared to what England had been doing and the training that we'd been done and leadership, coaching, whatever, and just the talent in the team and even the young blokes coming through. Like you think, right, if someone gets injured, we've got replacements.
Yeah.
So you had all these guys, and then you think, well, England, if someone gets injured, who's going to play? And it's not your top 3 or 4 players that determine the strength of your team. It's the guys that aren't in the team because at some stage you're going to need them.
They're going to need them.
Yeah.
And I've spoken to Mike Gadding as well on this podcast, and he mentioned like around that era, you're playing a lot more different county cricket going into the test matches. Like you're almost playing cricket back to back to back.
Yes.
Whereas now a lot of the younger guys are playing a lot more white ball and shorter over cricket, so they're not as defensive as they used to be. Can you definitely notice a transition from like how the Australians train now to how you guys were training in the 80s and 90s? Like nearly 40, 50 years later?
It's a preparation, isn't it? So they go from preparation for a test series to preparation for a one-day series, preparation for a 2020. So they're playing 3 formats. And the big thing that we've just seen is that a lot of people were critical of Australia's performance in the recent 2020. And you think, well, 8 months ago, if you tick a box, do you want to win the Ashes or do you want to win the 2020 World Cup final? 95%, 99% would tick Ashes. And that's what they prepared for. And then you have because of the scheduling with all the cricket being played, you had a short turnaround. So I think Australia had 3 2020 games against Pakistan as a build-up to the World Cup. Yeah. That's just not enough to get guys fit, ready and prepared for what they're about to do because they've got to start a series really well and maintain it.
And also, if you add in some of the players that when they finish the Ashes are going to play a few of the Big Bash games too and then into that 20 series. But do you think that's right having – because we've now got a white ball team and a red ball team. Do you think it's good that the test players are not all playing in the white ball and that is separate? Or do you think the best batsmen should be playing in the best teams, best bowlers and the best bowlers both teams?
The best players
it should always be the best of the best.
Yeah, the best players for that format should be picked.
Yeah.
And like you look at that 2020 World Cup and people are still scratching their head as to why Steve Smith wasn't picked. And you sit back and you say, well, you have a look at him. He goes back from the Test series, he goes into Big Bash and he dominates Big Bash. Yeah. So he's not just a long format player. He's a bloke that adapts to the different formats.
In the different format.
And he opens the batting, and that's the thing with Australia. They're two top-heavy. I reckon we had 5 blokes that could open, and the guys that were opening in the Big Bash found themselves batting at number 3, number 5, number 7, and it's a different game, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's because that's not what they would have just been playing for the last few weeks, and then they're getting in a different position. Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one, isn't it? Yeah. There's just so much cricket now.
Oh, mate, it's easy to be critical of selectors with what they do, but I found out this when I was selecting, you don't pick players to perform badly. You pick them on what they've done, and so Cameron Green's a great example. Like, people say he doesn't deserve to be in the side. Well, yes, he does. And from an Australian selector's point of view and Australian cricket's point of view, is that they've invested that much time in him. They're not going to drop him off.
Yeah.
So he's seen to be probably the next captain of Australia.
Yeah.
Or a future captain. So.
And Dad was always he loved Cam Green, always spoke publicly and positively about him. He's going to be the next big thing. And Dad was pretty good with his predictions. He had a few. I always get some memories of his predictions about. He'd mentioned something about Travis Head, a few of the other players, which I've seen. I've gone, he's always onto it.
Oh, mate, the thing about very, very astute cricket judge, and when you've played cricket at the level that he's played, and when you're tactically advanced as he was, like his big thing was finding a flaw in a batsman's
like a chink in their armour, their weakness,
in their technique, and
exposing it.
Exposing it. That's the word I was looking for. Exposing it. But if you can do that with opposition players, when he went into the commentary box and he watched blokes bat, he'd be still thinking, like, he's not really getting a long way forward. He's getting trapped on the crease. He's pushing the ball outside off stump, and he would have been sitting there, and in his own mind, he would have been thinking, how would I bowl to this bloke?
Yeah.
So strength and weaknesses, and when you think like that, you can identify the players that have got more strengths and weaknesses.
Yep, and that's why he always loved the psychological warfare and the occasional sledging here and there. Like, that was he absolutely loved it. Yeah, he loved it.
Yeah.
He was always playing chess when everybody else was playing checkers.
Yeah.
But was that always something he had, even in, like, when he first came into the squad, or was it something that he had developed after? Because I know he was always, like, after cricket, one thing I've definitely got from him is numbers. Like, he loved numbers, really could quickly calculate.
Yep.
Which he loved at the State Memorial. People mentioned how smart he was, and he was meant to be an accountant, because everyone thinks he was just this dumb bloke that just loved the beers and cricket, whatever. But he was actually...
I still get mileage out of it.
Yeah.
Like every time I saw Shane, like, do a lot of sports clubs and that, and I told a few stories on him. And I was always getting back to him. And in the end, every time I saw him, where in Victoria do people think I'm dumb now, big fella? Well, I've been to Albury, I've been to Wodonga, and I've been up to Echuca. So people up there haven't got a high opinion of your intelligence at the moment. You know? But you don't do what he did without being a smart bloke.
Yeah.
Like, and even post cricket, like how he organised his life, how he organised the houses and real estate and stuff like that. You don't amber through life with a dim view and get to where he got. And that's what made him such a great cricketer. And like you say, there's a combination of knowledge, challenge, but also the big thing with Warne, if he wanted something out of a game, like if it was going nowhere, if it was a little bit like, he'd pick a fight with someone.
Yeah. Well, there's the perfect example of that when I had Andy Lee on this podcast. He mentioned the first year of Melbourne Stars with the Marlon Samuels. And he'd always used to say, when nothing's happening, or, you know, you can feel the game like you're losing or it's drifting away, just start something from nothing, which was you're grabbing people, Marlon.
Yeah.
Was there times that he did that when you were playing with him in the there was?
No, not so much to that extreme, but you could see him like just get
trying to think of something,
just get vocal towards a batsman in that, like it's almost as though you're convincing yourself as a bowler that you don't like the batsman,
making up a fake scenario than believing it. Have you seen the Michael Jordan documentary?
No.
So MJ, he mentioned something exactly like that, where he lost a game and he had made up a thought in his head that the opposition coach had like said something negative about him really personally. And that's when MJ goes, and I took that personally. And then the next game he came out and like absolutely smashed the team, won them the finals. But then when they were asked, oh, where did you get that drive from? And he said, I actually just used my imagination and someone said something to me and I took it personally.
Yep.
But it actually wasn't real.
Yeah.
Like he actually had never even, that person never said that to MJ, but he believed it in his head.
And I've always said this about his friendship with Kevin Peterson. So because they were at Hampshire, they were great mates at Hampshire. When they came up against each other, when Peterson first played for England, there was no mystery about because they knew each other.
Yeah.
So I would have loved to have seen that battle if it was just the first time they met, because they're both two very competitive blokes.
Yeah.
They both love the contest, but when you lose that mystery factor of, I wonder what this bloke's like. Like they played cricket together for a couple of years.
Yeah.
They spent a lot of time together. They were great mates.
Yeah.
So there was no mystique about it, was there?
Yeah, no, there wasn't. And do you think we'll ever see something like that ever happen again? Because there is so many different formats now where people are playing together in either the IPL, the Big Bash, the 100. So there isn't that mystery anymore. Social media also gives another insight to people's lives. Do you think we'll ever see somebody like a Dad use your type of charisma or personality to try and get into somebody's head? Because there's stump mics now too.
It's going to get harder and harder, because of all the franchise cricket around the world now. Like Mitch Stark and Pat Cummins playing over in India and being in the same side with some young guys that come out to Australia to play for India. And there's no mystery. Like they get out there. I play cricket with Pat at wherever it is, and he's just a good fella.
Yeah.
So if they come over not knowing Pat Cummins, he looks like an angry bloke. Like
you lose that intimidation, you lose that fear.
But you've got knowledge of what they're actually like, rather than an imagination or imaginary view of what they are like. And a lot of that is like sport is all bluff and bullshit. So before the franchise cricket came along, to come up against someone you'd never seen them before.
And I think that's why so many people feared Dad, was because when they were going in to face him, not only did he look angry, intimidating, the mullet and all that sort of stuff, but also the other mystery of, is it going to be a leg spin? Is it going to be a wrong one? I haven't faced him before. And then when that's coming out, having to make sure where it's coming out of his hands and then hearing the through the air. So all of these different combinations of things.
And Warne loved that. So Shane,
he did.
Shane loved that in that the more like he could, like it was almost like he could smell fear.
Yeah, he wanted blood. Like he could. He was like a great white shark.
Yeah.
You know, from Nemo. You know, Bruce, when he smells the the blood in his eyes.
Just fish for dinner.
Yeah.
That's exactly like Shane came, and guys would come out and you'd see them, like their eyes would be wide and they'd be really nervous and they'd be relaxed, like, batting at the other end, and they'd get down and the eyes would be shaking and they'd be sort of sweating and you just sitting there thinking, oh, it's just a matter of time. But he loved that part of the game and he played up to it.
Yeah.
So he wasn't an aggressive bloke, was he?
Yeah.
But on the ground, people see him as a real in-your-face sort of a person, and he wasn't like that at all.
And after the game, he was always the first person to shake your hands. Like he had great sportsmanship. Yeah. And that competitive spirit definitely transitioned to the golf course and poker, to everything.
But that's the thing that you love about it. Like these days now, a lot of people take personally what's done on the ground. And Shane's big view of what happens on the ground stays on the ground. If I upset you on the ground, mate, that's ground stuff. That's to be taken up next time we're on the ground. Not in the bar.
In the club room. Yeah, it shouldn't leak on to outside of the field.
Yeah, no, I still reckon. So I'm old fashioned. So I still reckon.
I'm a bit old school too.
I still reckon that's the way to go. Is that sport, and it doesn't matter whether you play football. It's a physical intimidation, and with cricket you can't do that. So it's mental intimidation. Is that verbal intimidation? And all it is a distraction. Yeah. So. And Shane used it to his benefit because I reckon he sat there and chuckled at blokes that were more worried about what he was saying than what they were doing. And that was a foot in the door.
Exactly. And there's probably situations where if somebody wanted to say what Dad would used to say on the cricket field and said it now, people would be like, I might get in trouble, it might get reported. Stump mark, I can't say that. So that's also another layer or something that's been taken away from that, the old school version of sport.
Mate, it's become a I wouldn't say a friendlier environment, but a less verbal environment, and that seems to make his. I talk to like, a lot of people say to me now. I don't watch watching these Pat Cummins and Stark and Hazelwood. They're not aggressive enough, and you look at them and you think, what? They don't get into the opposition verbally. Well, they don't need to.
Yeah.
So they just let the ball do the talking.
Exactly.
And when they want to distract someone, you can see them change in a game that they'll be bowling along, something will happen, and they just stand up a little bit taller.
Yeah.
And that was exactly the same as Shane. He'd bowl away. If someone played a good shot off him, you could see him just stand up and say, that's not going to happen again, mate.
Yeah. He was. I was about to be like, he was like, yes, game's on, he's ready.
Yeah.
He always loved that battle.
Yeah. I still love getting back to Kevin Peterson, that miracle in Adelaide.
Yeah.
Where Peterson came out and said, Warne will never bowl me behind my legs.
Is this the 03? Did he come out and say it 03?
Yeah, I think it was where Australia, like, I reckon England were about 1 or 2 down the start of the second day. They're 100 runs in front, and everyone thinking it was going to be a draw.
Yeah.
And Kevin came out and said, Shane Warne will never bowl me behind my legs. And Shane just said, like he would have been saying to himself, if he doesn't reckon I can do it, I'm going to prove him wrong.
Yeah.
It was like playing golf with him.
Yeah.
I used to love playing golf. So you get down to wherever, and I was like, used to play with Jace.
Yeah.
And Shane down there, and there'd be a tree in the middle of the fairway, and just say, I've never seen anyone hit it over that tree. And Shane would try. And most of the time he'd do it. Yeah. He had something to prove. When he had something to prove, or when someone challenged him, he'd take up the challenge.
Well, that was actually something I was going to ask. When he came into the side, do you think not that he had a chip on his shoulder, but do you think he had something to prove either to himself or to Australia to say, I am going to be the best version of myself, I'm going to be an important asset to this team? Or do you think he just did his thing, and a byproduct of him doing his thing and working hard was taking lots of test wickets?
Yeah, well, if you get to that level and think you have to prove yourself, you're playing for the wrong reason. You get to that level for a reason, because you've done everything right. So if you continue to do the right thing, and the right thing is attitude towards the game, attitude towards training, respect of the game and all that, like you don't last that long in the game. And the thing about it was, the more he was challenged, the better he played. And you have a look at guys over their careers, they go through a purple patch. And a purple patch might last for 12 months, 18 months, where you think, have a look at this bloke from...
He's got a prime over 2 years or something, or 3 years.
This period here for 18 months, he was outstanding. Yeah. And that's what I said to Shane. His purple patch lasted for about 20 years. Like he got better and better. And when he was throwing the ball in a challenging situation, that's where he lapped it up.
Yeah.
So his first test against India, and that was another bit of advice I gave to him. Don't set the bar too high. If you go into your first test match, you take a 5 for 6 for. People expect that all the time. If you go 1 for 100, like people are saying, well, he doesn't deserve to be in the side.
Yeah.
Like you can only improve from there.
That's where he had the support of yourself, AB, that whole, when he first came to the side, everyone supported him and backed him.
Yeah.
But then that's where because Dad always,
that just wasn't Shane though. That was everyone that got into the side. So any young player that came in, obviously you're doing well at state cricket to get in. And there's guys, and Shane hadn't played that many first-class games, so he was identified as a talent really early.
Well, I remember he was eating meat pies when the selector came up and picked him. He's like, you want to play for Australia next week? He's like, hang on, eating meat pies, had a beer in hand.
I still reckon the great story, I don't know whether Matthew Hayden's told you this, but they're walking out to bat at the Gabba. It was the first game of the season, the first year that Shane Warne was there. And the old thing, Haydos was walking out with Trevor Barsby, opening the bat. And they look back, so the Victorian team's on the ground. The Victorian 12th man, Shane Warne, is sitting there, can of Coke, a pie, and a durry. He's having a cigarette. And apparently Matthew Hayden turned back to Trevor Barsby and said, have a look at that bloke. They reckon he's going to be something special. What an absolute joke. and you just think, like, and that was the thing about Shane. He always flew under the radar and until he got the name. And it didn't really take him that long to, like that series in Sri Lanka where, mate, the test was gone. I think Sri Lanka needed about 50 runs, 6 wickets in hand. Australia were getting absolutely bolted. AB threw the ball to Shane, and they're thinking this is, and Shane takes 5 for 15, wins a game.
See,
and,
that is so
and that
cool.
was in his 3rd or 4th Test match, I think it was.
Yeah.
So it was early days, and from there he just got like so much self-confidence, and a lot of people say he was arrogant. Like we said before, there's a fine line between being confident in your own abilities and being arrogant, and Shane was never arrogant.
Yep. And the 2 words that he always used to mention to me, Brooke and Summer, about life and especially about cricket, first one is attitude. It's all about your attitude going into the game, going into training, how you represent your country, all this sort of stuff. It's your attitude. Because if your attitude is shit, you're going to be shit. And then the second one is belief. Having that belief in yourself, which he mentions all the time in his book and in his doco. As soon as you get that belief in yourself saying, I can do this, all that positive talk in your head, that just radiates into confidence, and that will just so be visible on the field.
And I reckon the third word that he wouldn't have used that much, but also lived by, was enjoy.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't take it too seriously.
Don't
have
take
fun.
it too serious. Enjoy.
Yeah.
And the big thing, like you said, his attitude was fantastic, and his belief. And a lot of people say, oh, this bloke's a wanker. He's full of himself. No. And Kevin Peterson, same thing. He got accused of being arrogant. I know that Shane and Kevin were great mates. And I must admit, from a distance, I thought the same thing. But when you get to meet Kevin Peterson, he was very similar to Shane in many ways, is that from the outside you look at him and you think he's just brash, he's almost arrogant. But when you get to meet him and talk to him, you just think, mate, he's not, hasn't got an arrogant bone in his body.
Yeah.
And that was saying, but attitude and belief. But the third one,
fun.
Like I said, was probably more pertinent to him, was just enjoy.
Yeah.
If you enjoy what you're doing, it makes it a lot easier. So if you don't believe what you're doing, if your attitude's not that right towards it, you're not enjoying it. So your belief's not there.
And he always used to say, try and have fun in everything you do, because when you're having fun, good things will happen.
Yes.
So that was especially prevalent on the cricket pitch, and then everything he did outside of life, he always would try and find the positives in things and have fun.
Well, I'm getting to be an old man now, but remember a couple of years, I was getting old a long time ago. But Shane, we caught up at the cricket. So when he was doing the commentary, I'm over there with the supporter group tours. So I called up the ground and said, "What are you doing tonight?" I said, "Oh, let's catch up and have a drink." "Oh, that'd be great. What time?" "Midnight." "Hey, midnight." "Shane, I'm an old man." I said, No. We'll go out, have tea. I've got a few things on. I'll meet you at this place at midnight. Be there at midnight. And I'm just thinking, it's way past my bedtime.
Yeah.
But and got to this place, and there's a line up, and I'm thinking, the good thing about this is we'll never get in. Limo rolls up, out jumps Shane, and a couple of guys he played cricket with at Hampshire, and a couple of mates, and get on, move out, come on, straight in. And you think, what about the line? No, it's all right. And they've got in, and they've got a booth for him. So you sit there, you're sitting in the booth, and just order what
the
you
bottles
like.
and whatever.
And you're just sitting there thinking, he's a rock star. He was just a rock star, but he never saw himself as special. He never portrayed himself to be better than anyone else.
Yep.
Like he said, you talked to him, I just got lucky. I said, what? I just got lucky with real estate, got lucky with my cricket, just right time, right place.
He was always very appreciative for everything and very grateful. He never took anything for granted. And one quote that always stays with me that he always would say is, never try and be someone you're not.
Yep.
Like he would just always say that, because just always be yourself.
And like you say, it was interesting too, is that it's very hard for someone coming into Shield cricket, coming into international cricket, to have that belief. Like everyone's got the attitude, but to have that belief, and he could have quite easily doubted himself after his first test. One for 170, so Ravi Shastri and Sachin Tendulkar got to him a little bit. It could have been easy for him to doubt himself, but after that game, it was almost as though, right, I've got to get better. And he did. And you just think, well, mate, to watch the way he went about it, like I said before, we had a crack about his diet, but if he needed to lose weight, if he was getting fair income about a series, the training that he did, and you would have seen it firsthand, is that there would have been a change of diet at home.
Yeah.
And that's what made him so good, is that the sacrifices that he made to be better.
And he's mentioned as well, because you mentioned sacrifices, he's even said in his doco there was a point in his life where his priority list, it was number one was cricket and then it was family.
Yep.
And that's just because he was so wanting to be the best. He wanted to represent Australia. He wanted to win the matches. He wanted to do everything he possibly could. And there was a point in his life where he did have cricket over everything. But that's what it takes, especially in that era when you can't travel with your family. You're away for 6 to 9 months of the year, because that's what tours used to be. But now it's a bit different.
Even now, the guys that play sport, if that's not your number one priority, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So if you've got distractions, if you're out trying to make some money, if you're trying to do this, football,
if
cricket,
you're worried about commercials and brand
commercial
deals.
and branding, I've got to do this while my name's up there. Well, if you look after your sport and that's your number one priority, that's going to look after itself.
Exactly. And in theory, the better athlete or sportsman you are, the bigger and better the deals are. So if you just focus on your sport.
And you've got to be selfish. Like you said, it was cricket and then it was family. And I got to a stage where Madeline came along, so my oldest, where family became the number one priority. And as soon as cricket's not your number one priority, you're taking shortcuts, so you're not going to
You could
training.
feel it, okay.
So, the exact date that it happened, 16th of August. But you just think, and I was coming towards the end of my career, had a few injuries, and it felt like I was trying to prove myself to be, and you just think, well, mate,
you've done everything you could.
How many times do you have to climb the same mountain?
Yeah.
And Warne was big on his number one priority was cricket, and when it wasn't his number one priority, you
could tell it shifted. Yeah. Was there a clear sort of moment after you'd retired, or even when you were still playing with him, that you're like, yep, he's got the belief, he backs himself. Good luck for the rest of your career. You're going to do it. You're going to say the second test match.
No, I would have said
even when he said to you, "Thanks, Merv, I'm okay." Like, was there a moment?
The first night we saw him at training.
Really?
So, as I said, he came back from the Centre of Excellence. So that was in Adelaide in those days, and he came back to join the state squad.
Yeah.
And we sort of, like it, everyone had sort of heard of him. It's going to be interesting to see. And there was a few of us just standing behind him, just watching him bowl, and we're just thinking, like,
because he's not making a mistake. He's so consistent.
He's got to bowl a bad ball. He's got to bowl a bad ball. He's got to bowl a bad ball. Like, sure, he's got to bowl a bad ball. And that's what I said. Like 20 years later, I was still saying the same thing. But the thing about him, to watch the way he went about it, to watch his belief, to watch his attitude, to watch everything he did, you sort of sat there and you thought, mate, this kid's going to be good.
Yeah.
And I still remember the Old Truth newspaper. Rodney Hogg used to write, and Hoggy saw him in a district game playing for St Kilda, and he went back and he said, "This kid is going to play 50 Test matches for Australia. He's going to take 200 wickets." And the Truth editor just said, "You're an idiot." He got sacked for that. And he was so wrong too.
Yeah, well, it would have been it's nearly triple than that. Yeah,
played 150, got 700 wickets.
Yeah,
but like I think there was never any question over how good he was. Probably the thing was because of his looks. You thought, well, is he going to have the commitment to stick with it?
Yeah,
and the big thing about it, the more he was challenged, the
more he wanted to prove the
more he dug in.
Yeah.
So you and I know we're sort of going over and over ground, but just the way he went about things, the respect that he had for people, never saw himself as special. Like, mate, these people want to have a talk. Yeah, why do they want to talk to me? Because, mate, you feel it. No, I'm just a leg spinner. No, I wouldn't describe you as just a leg spinner.
Yeah.
But he just loved it. Like, you come back from America. What are you doing? Oh, I met Michael Jordan. You what?
Yeah.
So with Nike, we had Michael Jordan, and apparently he plays a bit of basketball or something. What? And then you just bring up in conversation. Like, you'd be sitting there talking about something. He said, "Oh, I had a beer with your what?"
Yeah.
And it was just like, he's caught up with Jason the other day.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's good. And he's just, I caught up with
Whoever it was. Yeah, he was extremely humble. And one thing that we've done, especially since starting this podcast, when I'm hearing all of these stories and I'm having to Google photos or videos of Dad, I've probably seen hundreds of photos of Dad with either like The Rock or Shaq or these famous singers and actors. And I'm thinking, Dad never told me about any of these moments, because to him, it wasn't something that he wanted to be seen either bragging about or showing off. He was always just one of us.
Yeah, but
and
the
I think
thing
that's
about
why,
it, I don't reckon he saw it especially. He sort of just catching up with a bloke that was like in the movies or was a singer. And the thing that, like, all the artists, like musical artists, that he's got a really strong connection with. How did you meet him? Well, I was in a pub in London and jumped in a lift, and he looked at me and I looked at him. I know
that's
you.
Chris with Coldplay. Yeah.
And you have a like you start talking, you find out that, mate, I love his music. He loves cricket. We've got things in common.
Yeah.
Let's have a beer.
It's
and away they went.
It's so cool because especially things like the State Memorial, I feel like even though that was such a sad like service, and thank you so much for being a part of that panel, by the way, which I've told you before, but just to see how many different people from so many different walks of life, like Chris or Ed Sheeran or Hugh Jackman, all of these people who to Dad, they were his mates, but to see them all talk about Dad in the exact same way, like you are talking about him now, just shows the exact type of person he was.
Mate, he's just a great fellow, and that's what you say to people. I've always said of Shane, like, great cricketer, fantastic cricketer, but if you've never met him, 10 times a better bloke than he was a cricketer. Yeah. And that's saying something, because everyone knows what a great cricketer he was. And he changed the direction of cricket worldwide from a fast bowling dominated sport to spin bowlers. And with the advent of 50 over and then 20 over cricket, I thought it was going to be the death of spin bowling. I thought spin bowlers won't last. But what Shane is, there's defensive spin bowlers and there's attacking spin bowlers, and your dad wasn't defensive, and he showed that there's room for attacking spin bowlers in cricket, especially 20 and 50 over games, because a lot of guys think, we got to be defensive here. No, you got to take wickets. Yeah. So you got to attack the opposition, and his mindset was, right, I've got to start okay, and if the ball's spinning, if conditions are suiting me, you're going to be under a world of hurt. Yeah.
And this was something that I'll never be able to truly appreciate or understand. But like when you're playing in the 80s and 90s, and I know Dad's always explained to me in the way people talk about it, but Dad came onto the scene and sort of changed leg spin and changed cricket and made it exciting, because he brought back which was a dying art, which was leg spin. Yeah. Did you ever verse or play with people that were bowling leg spin, but then when you were playing with Dad or watching Dad, you could just tell it was different?
Yeah, because like I said, the attitude of most spinners then and the attitude of most captains were you defend with spin. You don't attack with spin. Yeah. And when,
so if you want to keep them to low runs, not necessarily take wickets.
So the job of the spinner is to bowl 20, 30 overs.
And keep them to 20, 30 runs or something.
60, maybe 60 runs.
60
so 2, 3 and over. If you do that, you're doing your job. Yeah. I don't really care if you take a wicket. And then all of a sudden, Shane's bowling his 20, 30 overs, and he's getting 4 or 5 4 for 30. That's okay. Some work. Yeah. So and he's not defending. Yeah. And so
he's trying to get a wicket or setting the batsman up.
If you've got conditions that suit, and it doesn't matter if you're a batsman, a fast bowler, legs, you've got conditions that suit, you've got to take advantage of it. And the thing about Shane was that even in conditions that didn't suit him, he was still prepared to attack the batsman. Yeah. And just the variety. And I reckon it was a classic. Every year he had a new mystery ball. Yeah. And it was and his mystery ball, if
was the same. Yeah.
Well, if the mystery ball, truth to be told, was the leg spinner that didn't spin.
Yeah.
Well, that was a mystery ball. That worked well. And his just mindset was what he said. I don't think he actually believed half of what he said himself. Yeah. But if he got the opposition batsman to think, he's got a new mystery ball. Yeah. How am I going to play that? I couldn't play him last time. Yeah. He's got another ball. He keeps adding stuff to his. Yeah. And you just sat there and you just watch these guys just get confused with the the artistry of the crap that he spoke.
And I think that's why he loved poker so much,
Yes.
because he loved bluffing.
Yeah.
Because in poker, have you played much poker?
Oh, a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
So with poker, like there's a term called bluffing where
Yes.
like they have to either believe you've got it or you don't. But I think why Dad loved poker was because, yes, there's an element of luck and math, but there is a lot of psychology. Like Dad would look at people in the eyes and bluff to them or bluff to you. But one thing which I witnessed so many times, he did it a lot in America, but he always used to like to be the loudest on the table, to just annoy everybody. And there'd be times where he'd be in the World Series, which is one of the biggest tournaments in the world, only comes once a year. And he'd sit down on a table, everyone's bought in for 10,000 US. You cannot rebuy, so it's a very high stakes, important tournament. He'd be sitting there on the table, have a little pop-up table next to him with an iPad next to it, watching the Saints.
Yeah.
And all the Americans on the table would be like, who the fuck is this Aussie? What the hell are you watching? But Dad would like just annoying them because he wanted to get into their heads.
The other thing that he did and did really well was he reads people. And with poker, you got to read. Like you look at someone, if they've got to tell, you got to understand what that is really quick. If you pick that up, and his perception of people was spot on. So he'd sit there, have a talk to you, and he could almost tell you what you were going to say next.
Yeah.
He's the perception that he had of people. And
he was a great judge of character.
And that's the thing. Like poker's a rational game. You got to be very rational to play it. Sometimes you got to be emotional. And the thing about it, he was rational, and everyone around him would be emotional. What's this bloke doing? It's like emotional. He said, what's he think he's doing? He's playing cards. He's watching that. That's crap. I'm going to show him who's boss here.
Exactly.
And
that's exactly what Dad wanted you to do.
That's what he did on the cricket field. Over and over again, is that he read the situation of the game. He read the opposition. He read the conditions, and he played accordingly. So if the situation didn't suit him, he adjusted his game. So everyone says a good player in any sport plays the same way all the time. No, you adjust to the different conditions that you're playing in, and he did that well. So you had to look at him in conditions that suited. He was unplayable. In conditions, so he'd bowl like at the whacker. If he played at the whacker, he'd bowl at the whacker. And at Brisbane, his record in Brisbane for a non-spinning wicket was exceptional because he just. People don't reckon spin deserved the bowl here. I'll show them.
Yeah, I'll prove to them. And it's interesting, all these parallels you mentioned with poker and cricket, because the third one, which is what Dad loved, was golf.
Yes.
Because he would always try and get into their heads before they're teeing off or before a putt. He'd just say a cheeky word or try and do a double or nothing on your bets.
And you just you'd be looking at him. I played a fair bit of golf with him, and I'm just a hack. But I reckon the one of the best days we had, he had a foundation day down at, I reckon, Cape Schanck, down that way, or the National. So and after the game, someone came up and said, has Shane caught up with you yet? And I said, no, why is that? He said, he's had just a terrible day on the course, and he reckons the only bloke he's going to beat is you. And I said, well, wouldn't be hard. I had 16 Stableford points.
Oh, no.
Shane had 15. So I'm waiting for him to find me. But that's the thing that he did. It was like if he had a bad day, he had a bad day. So he wouldn't dwell on that. And it's hard to get into the mindset of guys that play sport, and especially young guys. You're going to have more bad days than you have good days.
Yeah, and I think that's why I've been, like, over the last few years, been, like, mentally really okay, because Dad would give me so much advice on how to turn negatives into positive, especially with your mindset and your thinking, because he went through so much negativity in his whole life, in personal life and in the public, in media, business, whatever. But how he was able to always overcome all of that and go through adversity and still be okay, I think is one of the reasons why I'm so okay.
Right. Well, the big thing, and I reckon Shane took the same view, is you're not going to keep everyone happy all the time. And if you try, you're going to send yourself around the bend. And
the past is the past. So don't have any regrets.
The big thing is you can't change the past. All you can do is, like, every ball he bowled, like, it wasn't the last ball that was on his mind, it was the next ball.
The next one, yeah.
And that's a great mindset that he had. But the view of trying to keep everyone happy all the time, if you keep most of the people happy most of the time, and the other thing that Shane had a great ability to do, and it sort of gets lost with social media, is people that don't know you are going to criticise you. And if you don't know them, what's their opinion matter?
Yeah.
And that was Shane, was that he would, this bloke's criticising me. I don't rate him, so I don't care what he says. But he'd pick up a paper and there'd be a former test player, this bloke had a crack at me, and you'd read the article and it was almost, I'm going to prove him wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so he'd value the opinion of people that he actually respected or have experience rather than somebody just making a random comment
even
online.
social media, like the guys now, they're under so much more scrutiny with X and with Facebook now, is that if they have a bad day at the office, it's all over social media. And I can't understand how people read it and think that they've got to take
everything that gets,
from it. Like, no, that's what happens is you have a look at where the criticism's coming from, and if it's warranted, you take it on board. And if it's someone just spouting off because they've backed you to take 3 wickets in a
well, you've cost them the multi,
and you've only got 2, and they're just spouting. Oh, well, mate, I don't know you. Your opinion of me doesn't really matter. But it seems with social media now, everyone gets so overwhelmed by what people think of them. Well, I've always said and I can't ever remember talking about Shane, but I'm sure his view was the same. Is that, mate, if people don't want to know me, don't comment on what I do.
Yeah,
because it's easy to sit back and say, oh, this bloke's doing the wrong. Well, you don't know me.
Yeah.
So get into my personal space and understand why I do what I do, and then you'll have a.
And I think that's why the public's interpretation of who Dad was versus who he was in personal life is always like either extremely exaggerated, because exactly like what you said, once you talk to him for 5 minutes, you're like, oh, everything's fine.
Not a bad bloke, is
he?
But
exactly.
It's interesting that the people that I've introduced to him, they'll come up a couple of weeks later. So I had a really good talk to Shane, and it was like at the card game he used to have at the casino, and there was so much going on. He just made me feel like I should be there, and that's a feeling he gave everyone. And mate, he was great with people. Like I said, he's recall for names. Like you'd introduce him to someone, and then like half an hour later, hey David, why are you over there? Grab us a drink. How do you remember his name? I got introduced to him about half an hour ago, and you'll be at a place with 20 people there, and he'll meet people. How do you do it?
Everyone's name.
I don't know. I just do.
He just does.
Yeah.
Well, before we wrap up, there's one thing that I would have loved to have seen, and I'm not sure if it might have happened, but one of your other hobbies is fishing.
Yes.
You love fishing. You've got your own show with fishing. Did you ever ask Dad to go fishing?
No, not really. Because when you're playing cricket and when you play a lot of cricket, like I played a lot of cricket with Mark Taylor and didn't know that he was a fisherman. I knew Matthew Hayden was, and a couple of Bruce Reed. I found out probably 5 years after I stopped playing that he was a fisherman. So it's not something you really talk about.
Yeah.
And you call me a fisherman. I call myself a recreational boater. Like I spend a lot of time in a boat and don't catch much
don't catch fish.
But, I don't think like it never got discussed, to be honest. So there was always like Shane was always up for golf.
Yep.
If he wasn't playing golf, he was playing cards. If he wasn't playing cards, he was playing cricket or training.
Yeah.
And when we spent a lot of time together, it was a lot of time training, and then you'd relax.
Yeah.
And like most of the guys would go and play golf, but as bowlers, you wouldn't play a lot of golf the day or 2 days before a test match, because if you win the toss and bowl, you're in the field all day, so you don't want to be leg weary.
Yeah.
So, but we never. I don't reckon. Was he a fisherman?
No, he wasn't. He wasn't. But I reckon if he was to go fishing, he would have loved to have done it with you.
Oh, mate, he would have been. I wouldn't have taken him out. You just know he's going to be in there. Like he's just going to catch the biggest fish, the best fish.
Yeah.
He's going to do everything better than you. So I wouldn't have invited him. No, I wouldn't. But the thing about fish, and it's golf, is that it's time spent with people you choose to be with.
Yeah.
And like golf course, like you're not much of a golfer, but what you got to understand is that if you're on a golf course, you're with 3 people you choose to be with.
It's the chat you're having while you're walking to and from each hole on the golf buggies.
That's the same as fishing, and that's the same as in the viewing room when the team's batting.
Yeah.
Is that it's probably not people you choose to be with. It's people that you've selected to be with, but you're all good mates, and you're sitting there and you don't really talk about too much else. You talk about, like I said, talk about that stuff when your career's finished and you move on. And Shane went out of the cricket virtually straight into commentary.
Yeah.
And mate, you'd see him, would be on a trip to India and he'd be commentating in India. Well, you're not just commentating. Why? Because I love cricket.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's the thing that if you challenged him at something that he loved, he would do it. Like if you say, mate, I don't reckon you can sink this putt. And he'd just, no, I reckon I can.
Yeah.
Even darts, I reckon you could challenge him at darts. And I reckon he rated himself a bit at darts.
Yeah. Well, one thing that we've got here, which I know he was very, very, very competitive with, was pinball.
Yes.
Like he used to think he was the best at pinball. And when Aaron Hamill came over here, he was also very good at it. I think Hamill also said he was state champ for Victoria at pinball.
Yeah.
Anyway, to watch them play pinball against each other and to hear how hard they were whacking these machines and they were literally lifting them up, tilting on the sides. But like Dad was so competitive. And if somebody said, I'm better than you at this or I'm going to beat you at that.
Only if he was interested in it.
Yeah.
So I reckon come out fishing, I reckon I'll beat you. And he's just, not interested. Like we do, not interested. I don't reckon you can sink this putt. I reckon I can. I don't reckon you could do it. If he was into it, if he enjoyed doing it, if you challenged him, like on a golf course, I don't reckon you could play that. I reckon I can.
Yeah.
And he'd have a go. And that's the thing about it. He never died wondering. So his attitude was, if we're going to have a crack, we're going to have a crack. It's not half measure. And his attitude to cricket was exactly the same, is that you'd get in a tough situation and, mate, you'd be sitting there watching the game and whoever was captain, you just throw the ball to Warnie. Throw the ball to Warnie. It's at that time. Yeah. And then 3 overs later, he'd come on, take a wicket. Oh, should happen 3 overs ago. But he just loved the challenge. And, mate, I see Summer, Brooke and yourself, so with the work that you do with the heart testing and at the MCG, so through Triple M, we've had a couple of talks over the couple of years and see the way that you guys have come through and it's the same sort of attitude.
Yeah. So thank you, Merv.
You and Brooke are very good. Summer's a little bit quieter and she's almost a forgotten child, isn't she? And it's not as though you and Brooke.
No, and that's by design. That's Summer's choice. We don't want to obviously feel like Summer has to do it, or if she wants to, of course she can.
Yes.
But no,
now what we've got to do is this Warne Simons golf.
Yes.
We've got to get you playing golf.
I know. Well, that was my goal this year, because seeing how much fun you all had last year, it was like one of those events that I know, because one thing that Dad was so good at and Roy was bringing people together and like going through the list of the people that were playing and over those certain days and in the middle of an Ashes, only really Roy and Dad could do that. Like he had such a good ability to bring people together. I thought to see those amount of people in that same room, it probably only happened during like test matches for work or Dad's State Memorial.
Yeah.
So for them, Dad and Roy, in one of their legacies, have a golf day in both of their honour, Victoria versus Queensland. Like it's so special.
The Queensland Bulls, Masters, which is the past players, they did a fantastic job with it this year. And then the onus is now back on the foundation, isn't it?
Well, we're going to host it here in Victoria, hopefully. And if I do end up playing...
No, you will end up playing.
Do you think?
You'll be a superstar.
Well, you were captain last year. You'll have to be captain again.
I think I've been sacked.
Who? Did you?
Yeah, no, we got beaten.
Yeah.
So
who will replace? Who do you think will be the captain this year?
Well, when you look at it, there's some big names there, but probably no one warrants the captaincy.
Yeah.
So I'll probably get it again. But no, the guys that took part on it, and it wasn't just cricketers. It was like
footy players, like seeing Dermy there, and
Joe Hasham and
Joe, of course,
all those guys. So to see them come in and be a part of it, and his love for the St Kilda Footy Club to have a couple of St Kilda boys there and talk to them about their experiences with Shane. It's the same thing. He just loved life. He enjoyed the company of people, and like I say, he just made you feel special. Yeah, he's a ripper.
Well, Merv, thank you so much for opening up, mate. I feel like we could genuinely go for hours and hours and hours talking about Dad. So, no, thank you so much for coming on.
Mate. Thank you for the invitation.
No, thank you. Is there anything you want to tell the audience that you've got coming up, or tell them to watch your TV show?
Not really. Merv Hughes Recreational Boating. We'll be back on 7 8 in November.
Perfect.
So that's a good thing about the fishing show. People watch a fishing show and think we're going to catch fish. Yeah. And at the end of it, geez, they didn't catch a fish.
Yeah.
But we had a good time.
Yeah, we had a great time.
And that's one thing that I think you'll agree with, that
Yep.
Shane would agree with, is that whatever you do, enjoy yourself.
Yeah, exactly. It's great advice. Thank you, Merv. Actually,
Thank
there's one
you.
thing I'd love to ask. I had Ian Botham on the podcast.
Yes.
He was episode number 23, and he told the story of when he actually fell off your boat into the river and you saved his
I
life.
wish it was my boat.
Or was it not your boat?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, we're on a mate's boat, and the thing about it, and what people don't understand, up in the Northern Territory, there's 9 metre tides.
Yeah.
Okay, so if the tide's coming in, it gushes in. If the tide's going out, it gushes out. And the currents that's right. If you lose contact with the back of the boat, you're in a world of hurt because you're 20 metres away and you're not getting back.
Yeah.
And bull sharks and crocs in the water.
Wow.
So we're at the Moyle River, which is down towards the border of West Australia, Northern Territory. So we're fishing there, and like everyone knows, and he was stepping off the tender onto the mothership, got his foot caught up some rope, went in the water, and thankfully, like he said, I saved his life. I told people I pushed him in. But, one of the guys on the tour was at the back of the boat and grabbed his shirt and held him close to the boat and pulled him in. He's got 3 cracked ribs, and so I've gone, what happened here? Beefy just went for a swing. He what?
Yeah.
And you just think, mate, it was extraordinary because if the bloke hadn't been there to grab his shirt, he would have been 20 metres away.
Yeah.
And that morning, I was up early, just like as you do in the morning, you got to urinate. Just off the side of the boat, and there would have been a 5 metre croc 10 metres from the boat.
Wow.
And you just look at him thinking, mate, there's a lot of boots, wallets, and and you just, when he went in to drink, you just think, no,
fuck, yeah.
So that's exactly what I was thinking. So I've just walked out. I missed it all, and all of a sudden it came out in the media that I saved his life.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, nah.
A bit of mayo on that.
A lot of mayo.
A lot of mayo.
And I just said to Beefy, what's going on here? Let's just go along with it. We could do well out of this. And I said, okay, here we go. But the people don't understand how serious that was.
It actually was, yeah.
Mate, it's amazing. Like Shane, I don't reckon Shane played against Ian at test level. He just missed him. But the friendship that they got.
Yeah.
So 2 very similar blokes. And a lot of people think they're
Lots
bullish
of parallels
and they're ahead of themselves and they got their heads up their clay. No, you meet Ian Botham, and he's got a very similar view to what Shane had, is that, mate, do what you do, enjoy what you do, and embrace the people around you.
Yeah.
And if you do that, life's going to be pretty special.
It is. And actually, I've just remembered another funny story. Do you remember when you were going, there's so many. Do you remember going through the Macca's drive-through with Dad, which you've probably gone through hundreds of times with him, but there was one very vivid memory I remember Dad telling me about, and it's when you said you could eat a Big Mac in one bite without eating. Do you remember that?
Yes. Yeah. But I always said, so we had this thing with the Werribee boys used to go down, pick up a Big Mac, and the big one was like start with the cheeseburger. Cheeseburger's easy. We'll do a Big Mac. Yeah. And that's what we always said. The easy part was getting in your mouth. The hard part was chewing it. Yeah. And especially if someone got the giggles around you, like having a bit of a laugh, you just like, it come out your nose, your ears, eyeballs. But he challenged me to that, and I proved him wrong. I told him it could be done.
You got it down.
Yep.
Well done, Merv.
So it took a while.
But at least you did it.
I think he was driving that day, and he made it very hard because he was
stop starting fast around the corners, slow in, fast out.
He was like that. He didn't like losing a challenge, did he?
No, he didn't. But he always would try and make you happy, make people laugh.
Oh yeah.
Well, Merv, mate, thank you so much for coming on. It sounds like we'll maybe have to do this again because there is so much positivity and so many nice stories.
Tribute to the great man.
Yeah.
Very easy to do.
Yeah, and thank you. And again, I know I've mentioned it before, but thank you so much for all of your help with the Shane Warne legacy and always giving me a platform to talk about him on Boxing Day and coming to the golf event last year and also being a panel member on the State Memorial.
Yeah. No, good on you. Thank you.
Thank you, Merv.